Alright, so before I begin with the actual lecture, first off, my name is Gabriel Marcatelli. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, before I begin, I wanted to share just a moment of honesty with you guys. Honestly, coming up here and speaking, public speaking, any sort of public speaking, is extremely difficult for me. It's extremely scary. I'm always extremely nervous. And when I was outside, I was thinking like every piece of my body, my soul was like, hey, just bail, man, you can run. You know where the vans are, you know where the spare keys are. Just take them on, you're good. But there's a reason that I don't. There's a reason that I choose to be up here. That's because there's something that I want to share with you guys. And for me, in my life growing up, honestly, a lot of the times, what I saw in this world was that it was filled with so much negativity. Everywhere that I looked, people were negative. Places, the media, when you turn on the TV and you go to the news, most of the time the whole focus is about what's wrong with the world. We see all the wars going on, but we never see what is the good that's happening in this world. And to me, honestly, that was discouraging. As I'm living in a world and I want to have a happy life, I have dreams, but it seems like everything around me is just going wrong. But to me, what divine principle gives to me, honestly, it gives me hope. In a world where everything around me may be going wrong, when people may be negative, to me it gives me something to look forward to. That every single day of my life, I can have a purpose and something to strive for, something to reach for. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. It's chapter 1, the principles of creation, section 3, the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation. I want to start off with a question. We've all been to school, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We all have parents, so hopefully you can relate to this. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been called to the principal's office, or called by your teachers, or by your parents. But when you get called by somebody, what is the first thing that you think?
Why? What does need like?
Right. After, oh shoot, it's like, okay, why am I being called? What's my reason for being here, right? What's the reason? Why do we ask that? It's because unless we know the reason that we're being called for, we don't know how to act. We don't know whether we're being rewarded or whether we're being, divided. And unless we know that, we can't understand how we're supposed to act. So this isn't just a question that we ask in school. It's not just a question that you guys are asking here in this room, or just here in America. It's a question people are asking all over the world, is why am I here? People in China and India and Europe are asking this question. People all throughout history have asked, and all in the future they will ask this question. And that's what makes this question a fundamental question of human beings. What is my purpose? And how do I fulfill it? These are the two questions I'd like to answer for you guys today. So, number one, what is our purpose? Well, we believe that as human beings, we were created by God, right?
Yeah.
That's our belief, yes?
Yes.
We believe we're the children of God.
Yeah.
So, let's look at the Bible. And the Bible, at the time of creation, when God was creating, He was creating after each day of creation. He looked at His creation and He saw that it was good. He created the sun and the stars and the moon and He saw that it was good. He created the plants and the animals and He saw that it was good. And then He created human beings and He saw that it was very good. Human beings were the last piece to that puzzle. Human beings were the thing that made creation very good. So what does that even mean? Well, when God was creating, He was creating it to be good. He wanted His creations to be good. And this suggests that God, for his creations, he wanted them to be object partners embodying goodness, so that he might take delight in them. Meaning he wanted to see his creation and feel joyful. So the purpose of that creation was what? To bring joy to God. To bring joy to God. That's what our purpose is. So we're good, yeah? You got it? Your purpose is what?
Bring joy to God.
So we're good, we can end, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so how are you going to do it? Exactly. So we know the what. What's my purpose, but how do we fulfill it? So in order to understand this, let's look at the Bible again. Genesis 1:27, or Genesis 1:26, excuse me. When God was creating human beings, he said, let us create them in our image and after our likeness. Genesis 1:26. This is what God was thinking when he was creating human beings. So when you're creating something to be in your image, what do you want it to be? It means you want it to resemble you, right? You want it to represent you. So God, in creating human beings, he wanted human beings to represent him, to resemble him. So what did he do? Well, God, he gave human beings sensibility to all feelings and emotions because it was his intention to actually share joy with them. He gave sensibility to all feelings and emotions because it was his intention to share joy with them. So what does that mean? It means that all that we feel, every emotion that we have, it had an origin, and that came from God. So God can feel everything that we feel, and he wants to feel it together with us. So when God was creating, he had his little project he was making, right? He didn't just want to create it and step back and say, all right, let's see how this turns out. In fact, God wanted to be a part of every single moment of that creation. When you were feeling happy and joyful, God wanted to feel happy and joyful too. When you were feeling sad, God wanted to feel sad too. When you touched something hot and you burned yourself, God wanted to experience that too. Every moment of our life, God wanted to be there too. Almost like a parent. When a parent has a child, what does that parent do? Does he just have the child and step back and say, okay, let's see how this child will grow up. Let's see what it's going to do. No, the parent wants to be a part of that child's life, right? As a child is growing up, the parent wants to grow up with the child. He wants to have fun with the child, right? He wants to experience everything together with that child. The parent wants to experience life with the child. Just like that, God wanted to experience life together with us. And every parent wants to be proud of their child, right? Do you guys believe that your parents want to feel proud of you? Anybody?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you feel that.
Yeah.
Right? All our parents do. So what does a parent do when he wants to be proud of his child? Does he simply say, hey, figure it out. Figure out the way to make me proud? No. The parent tells him what he wants them to do. Like in school, for example. When we're going to school, our parents tell us, hey, listen, Michael. Study hard, get good grades, and do well. That's the parent's desire for the child. And so, when the child does study hard, when they do get good grades, when they do well, and they come back home with that test result 100%, or that report card straight A's, and they show that to their parents, how do they feel? How do your parents feel?
Happy.
They feel happy, right? They feel good. And when you see your parents feel happy and excited from something that you did, how does that make you feel? You feel happy too, right? You feel joyful. Therefore, it's not only the parents that experience joy, but also the child. And when the parent is telling the child, hey, study hard, get good grades, and do well, it's not just because the parent wants to feel proud. It's because the parent knows that in order to be successful, this is what the child needs to do. And the parent wants the child to feel joyful as well. The parent wants the child to be successful as well. Unless the child is happy, the parent can't be happy. And that's the same for God. God doesn't just want us to return joy to him. He wants us to feel happy. in the process of returning joy to him. So what does God do? What did God do? Well, he didn't just create Adam and Eve and let them figure it out. He told them exactly what they needed to do. He gave them the roadmap to success, how they could be successful in their life, experience fulfillment and joy, and how they could return joy to him. So Genesis 1:28. Does anyone have the divine principle open? Page 32. Can someone read that out for me, please?
Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth.
Right. That was God's direction to Adam and Eve. He told them exactly what they needed to do. Hey, he said, look, be fruitful. Multiply. And have dominion. This was God's desire to humankind. Not just to bring him joy, but so that they could feel fulfilled. So that they could feel happy. And in our church, we call these the 3 great blessings. Why are they called blessings? Because they're blessings to humanity as well. Through fulfilling this, we can feel happy too. It's not just a blessing for God, but they're blessings for us. So through the completion, through the fulfillment of God's desire for us, actually we can bring God that greatest joy as well. So then how do we fulfill the 3 great blessings? Well, earlier we learned a little bit about the 4-position foundation, right? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
4-position foundation looks a little bit like this, a little diamond. So the 3 great blessings can be fulfilled when the whole of creation completes a 4-position foundation centered upon God. Why are we centering it upon God? Well, what's even the reason that we're doing any of this? To bring joy to God, right? We're doing it to bring joy to God. So if we're doing it to bring joy to God, doesn't it make sense to put God right there at the center? Yeah. It makes sense, right? We're bringing joy to God, so let's put him up there. Let's give it all to him, yeah? Well, how then does any of this even bring joy to God? How? Well, in order to understand that, we have to understand how joy arises. Well, joy is not something that can be experienced alone. For example, let's say we've got a little artist guy here. Okay, his name is Jimmy. He's an artist, he's got his paintbrush. What do artists like to do? Paint. They like to paint, right? And in order to paint, they need to have an idea. So, little Jimmy's trying to have an idea. He's trying to think of an art piece, right? Something that he can paint. Have you guys ever experienced and trying to come up with an idea and being completely brain dead? How does that feel? Do you feel joyful and excited? No, right? It's almost like you're getting even more and more drained. It's just like, oh my God, there's nothing coming. So how is joy produced? Well, joy arises when we have an object partner in which our internal nature and external form are reflected and developed. This object partner may be tangible or intangible. Tangible means something like this. This whiteboard is tangible, I can feel it, I can see it. Yoshi is tangible, I can feel him, I can see him. Something intangible would be something like my thoughts. So, thoughts can also be an object partner. So let's say this brain dead artist has a thought. Bang! The light bulb goes off. He has a thought, and he's like, oh wow, I've got it, right? Right? You guys have experienced that, right? You're trying to come up with an idea, nothing's coming, and then boom, you've got the thought. How do you feel now?
Happy.
You start to get excited, right? It's like, I got it. You start to feel stimulated. And you become excited. Because you have an object partner that you're happy to give and take with. And that's what you need. So he starts to have this thought, right, of what he's going to paint. But this thought can only bring him partial joy. Because it's just within himself. In order to experience the full joy, this thought has to be substantialized and become a reality. So let's say the little Jimmy here, he's happy now. He's a happy guy generally, right? He's energetic, he has a positive outlook on life. He's a pretty, good guy. So he's trying to make a painting of creation. What do you think this painting would look like? You think it would be rainy, sunny, bright or dark? What would it be like? Sunshiny, right? It would be sunshiny. Probably some blue skies, some nice clouds and trees, and bright green grass. and a rainbow, a beautiful rainbow. Rainbow. So, Jimmy takes his thoughts and he puts them into action. He substantiates what's inside of himself. And through this, he actually experiences joy. Because he's being able to see the nature that he has inside himself, the bright, sunny nature, is reflected within this painting. That's how we experience joy, through that give and take. So how does God experience joy? Well, God feels a fullness of joy when he's stimulated by a substantial object partners to feel his original internal nature and external form, reflected through that. You guys all have friends, right?
Yeah.
Everyone here has friends? Yeah? Okay. So generally, what kind of people do we try to make friends with? A lot of times it's the people that are kind of similar to us, right?
Yeah.
Similar personality, characteristics, similar hobbies. Why? Because these people are easier to connect to, right? And when we connect to them, when we relate to them, we experience joy. When you're talking to someone about your passion who has a similar passion, don't you feel excited? You do, right? So this is a little bit of what God wanted to see in us. The reason that God made us in his image is because he wanted us to resemble him. When he saw us with his character, with his love for people and creation, he wanted to be stimulated and excited. That's the way God wants to feel about you. When he looks at you, he wants to feel joyful. And be like, hey, yeah, let's go. You know, like, that's my child. This is my friend. That's the kind of person God wants a friend. Someone to relate to. And that's what the three great blessings are about. Each blessing is about becoming more and more like God. So that God can feel more and more joy through us. So the first blessing